So I got all dressed up and I've been stood up. My podcast guest suddenly has developed a toothache. So hopefully we will meet her some other time. But here I am all dressed up. I haven't put on my beautiful wig. So I thought let's have a chat. My name is Eme Bassey. I am the creator of the Vivid Story Method, and I help charities and nonprofits create friends and champions organizations or communities or networks or clubs, whatever you want to call it. I help you to create your community or your group, and I help you to, for want of a better word, make them care and give. This is the leverage that I want for your nonprofit or your charity, where you create this organization that makes you more sustainable, makes you have more people. And I firmly believe that more people equals money. In fact, today I heard on somebody said on the internet, School of Hard Knocks, I think it was the guy, and he said, just in passing, he said, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And that is really what the philosophy is behind it. One of the effects of the impact would also be that you would be able to also have more money, more sustainable, predictable income, and then also more supporters, more loyalty, and that kind of thing. So that's what I do for nonprofits. There are different ways to work with me. You can come to one of my workshops. I have one coming up on 19th of February, and I usually run one workshop every month at least. And this one is called New Year, New Friends, and this is the AI edition of the workshop. So I will teach you how to start and grow your friends and champions community using AI to speed up the process for you. So that is my invitation out of the way. But then since we're hanging out today, I just thought, okay, since like I said, all dressed up, set up my lights, set up everything, and my recorder was on my I use Riverside for my podcast recordings, and it was on, and I'm here sitting in front of my nice decorated backdrop and all ready to do my podcast, and no guests, so I am the guest. So I wanted to read something for you today. It's so interesting because the last few things that I have felt inspired to share have been very private, very vulnerable things. Well, I believe God talks to us. And one of the ways that I notice that when I, in quotes, hear from God is usually the first thoughts that come into my head in the morning when I wake up. So when we are kind of like in that in between sleeping and waking up phase, that sort of coming out of still half asleep, but it's just coming awake. And then sometimes you just get those first thoughts. And sometimes I try to write them down or write about them or think about them. So this one came after I taught my first workshop. For me, that was a major breakthrough because to teach the workshop, I had to, it's one thing to have what you want to teach, but then I had to go through the whole process of setting it up and, setting up my systems and setting up my um the back end side of things and my SAM card and my copywriting and the offer and just generally going through the whole process, and which culminated in me finally teaching the workshop to I think then it was like 4 people in the class, which for me was amazing because there were like 4 people I had never heard of before. And it was like a milestone for me. So immediately after, maybe like a day or two after, one morning, as I woke up from sleep, this came into my mind. So this is what I want to share today. Let's talk about AI today, because what I did when I woke up, I picked up my phone, went to my ChatGPT app, and I told it the thing, and then had a conversation with it. So this is what I want to read to you anyway. So what I heard when I woke up was door to door, and some of those things, they come as if they're thoughts, but it's not quite like a thought, because when it comes, it's almost like a fully formed thought. It's like something that's like somebody said the other day, called it a zip file. So as soon as I got it, it was like I got like a download. That's the best way I can describe it. So anyway, and then I said to ChatGPT, this is what the spirit is trying to teach me. I can go door to door, like knock on one door, then go to the next house and knock on that door, and then knock on the next door in a linear fashion. So that is one way, because I had heard the phrase door to door. The second way is you open a door and step through. And then when you walk through that door, and then you step through the next door, and then you step through the next door. So it's like, if you can think of that picture of where there are two mirrors that are exactly parallel to each other and are multiplied, so that this becomes like infinity. You just have one reflection on the other, one reflection on the other. So I don't know what I want to call it, whether it's concentric circles. So it's like a door that leads to another door. And then when you go into that door, you then lead to another door. So obviously talking about expanding doors, bigger doors, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of just vomited out my thoughts on what I heard, which was door to door. And I like one of the things that I like about AI is that it can help you to organize your thoughts. So it's not so much that it's telling you, it can help you to organize or simplify or actually pull out the essence of what you have given it, So ChatGPT says, obviously it's going to tell me how wonderful I am. So it says, that's beautiful. It feels like a stream of revelation, full of layered meaning. You're describing two types of growth journeys. So there's a linear journey, one, and then there's a quantum journey. So door to door, linear, that is your steady step-by-step progress. You knock on the door, you move on to the next door, you knock again. So this represents persistence, resilience, and consistency. It is a don't give up mindset. It is how most of us build things. One action, one opportunity, 1 yes at a time. The quantum way, that's the second type of growth journey, is the door within a door. So this is exponential dimensional expansion. Once you step through a door, it reveals a deeper layer, a new dimension of understanding, opportunity, or purpose. So like those infinite reflections between mirrors, each door opens to more of what you are meant to become. This is the be faithful in small beginnings principle. You can't reach the third or fourth dimension of growth unless you walk through the first door. So together, they reveal a complete growth philosophy. So there's linear growth, there's quantum growth, and not one or the other. You are doing both. So linear, it says the growth philosophy is that persistence creates access. So that's the door to door, knock on one door, go to the next one, knock on the next door. And then readiness creates expansion. That's the quantum. And I love that you tied it to preparation and mindset. That is key. Each door requires a new level of mental, spiritual, and emotional readiness. Now, I'll say what happened at that time, and what had happened was it had been a year of working on my offer, working on refining my business. This is what I want trying to simplify my business to simplify what it is that I am called to do, what it is that I am equipped to do, what is needed out there in the market. In fact, somebody called it, mentioned something called Ikigai today, which I have to go and find out more about. But basically, it's one of those things where it's what you're passionate about, what you're good at, what the world needs, and, what can make money. And that's how it all comes together. So some kind of harmony. So this workshop, even though it was just a workshop, a 90-day workshop, it was me teaching a framework that had taken me several months to come up with. It was me reaching out to an audience that I had decided this is who I want to serve. So it was a combination of several months of learning, of creating and everything. So in a sense, I had passed through that door. It was a big deal for me. Not so much like the numbers of who came to the class, how much money did I make, what did I sell, and all that kind of. But it was like I was able to tick that box to say, okay, I have reached this. I have gotten to that level now. I've now reached a level and I'm ready to now go on to the next thing. So that's why I think that now came to me, just shortly afterwards, that the door-to-door thing dropped into my mind or into my spirit or whatever. So anyway, I love that you tied it to preparation and mindset. That is key. Each door requires a new level of mental, spiritual, and emotional readiness. Okay, so again, ChatGPT will always be nice to you and tell you nice things about yourself. So it says, perfect. This has the makings of something really special, with the star emoji. Okay. So your door-to-door revelation is already rich with spiritual and psychological truth. It carries the dual rhythm of persistence and transcendence. So making it into a poetic teaching script for spoken word. So here we are. There are two ways of moving through life: door to door, steady, faithful, one step at a time. Door within a door, dimensional, exponential, one revelation leading to another. Both are sacred. Sacred. One builds consistency, the other builds capacity. One is consistency and the other one is capacity. So one teaches you discipline, the other teaches you depth. So obviously discipline is going back again. Remember, well, you may not remember, but earlier this year, I think the first post that I put on LinkedIn, my Happy New Year message, was a message where I woke up and that's why I said this period seems to be, those are the kind of things that I'm sharing. I have one or two of them on my website that I've written as blog posts over the years. But so at the beginning of the year, I had also one of these experiences where you wake up and a fully formed thought comes into your mind, and that thought was, and it was, try again. So I wrote a Happy New Year message to say, all you need to do for me, all I need to do for this year is try again. So it's not a case of, you have to go and do something new. Just whatever it is that you did that didn't quite work, or it didn't quite land, or it's just at the beginning, that's an opportunity that you didn't quite get. The only thing that you need to do is to try again, because now you're wiser, now you know more, now you know better and all that. So anyway, two ways of moving through life: door to door, steady, faithful, one step at a time. Door within a door, dimensional, exponential, one revelation leading into another. Both are sacred. One builds consistency, the other builds capacity. One teaches you discipline, the other teaches you depth. Together, they represent how God trains us for increase. So there are doors that you knock on and doors you walk through. Some doors open with effort. That's persistence, courage, willingness to keep showing up. You knock, no one answers. You knock again. That is the door-to-door journey. It is a slow growth, and it helps you to build that mindset of never giving up. But then there are doors that open into other doors. There are dimensions that are nested inside each other. If you do not go through one, then you cannot get to the other door. So one yes unlocks the other, or one open door unlocks the access to the next open door. And where obedience to one thing creates access to the next thing. So it is where faith becomes quantum. So it's not step by step. It's like leap by leap. And you realize there are doors within doors. So there are worlds within worlds. There are levels hidden in lessons, and there are lessons hidden in different levels. So you cannot access the second door without stepping through the first. The Bible says, don't despise small beginnings, for the first door is the seed of the next. Preparation makes you worthy of the next level of revelation. So keep knocking. And when the door opens, walk through, because each door is an invitation to ascend. So to move from effort to expansion, from knocking to knowing, from going door to door to walking through the door. And that door is also the door, the person that calls himself the door. So the interesting thing is that with ChatGPT, or other AI, conversational, whatever they call themselves, platforms, things, machines, you can go in different directions. Now, the first thing I heard when I woke up that day was door to door. And I took it that it was something that was being communicated to me from God. And I also asked for biblical confirmations and support to the thoughts that came into my mind, thoughts in quotes. The point I'm trying to make by saying all this is that your conversation with the AI can take it in different directions, and you can get different things from it depending on what you feed into it. So in this particular conversation, I wanted something that was camera ready. So I said, this revelation came as one of those thoughts that drift into your mind and heart in that moment between sleep and wakefulness. Write two versions: the story of chasing down the meaning, and then the actual meaning, the actual message, the spoken word scripts, which we just read. So basically, because I'm here to also make sure that I am reaching the people that need what I have to offer, and so that I can help them. I have a workshop coming up. It's called New Year, New Friends. And in that workshop, I will teach you how to start your friends and champions community, get your first 100 friends, and within 7 days, nurture your friends up to the point where they go from friends and supporters to committed supporters to donors, to generous givers or generous donors. So that is the workshop. But all I'm saying is that there's so much potential in what you can do with AI, the direction that you can take it in. It's not just enough to just go and say, or write me an email. I'm sending an email to an MD of a company, write me an email, but if you're able to give some good inputs into your AI, it will give back something that becomes unique. So it's not just something that looks like everything else out there. But for instance, if you give your mission, the mission of your charity or your nonprofit, your vision, and then your stories and everything, what you receive from AI is going to still be unique, because it will be uniquely you, it will be uniquely your story and all that. Okay, so I had asked it to give me two versions. One is the story version, as in how did I come about this revelation, and then the other one is the spoken word version, which is kind of like explaining the revelation. So it's kind of like a bit of a repetition, but it's something I could take from here, put it on social media. I could write it as an email. I could create a short form video. So like this one. It says, it came to me in that space between sleeping and waking, that quiet corridor where dreams still cling to you, but daylight is already knocking. I heard the phrase door to door, and I thought, what does that mean, Lord? Am I supposed to go out and evangelize, sell something, hustle harder? But the words wouldn't leave. They circled me door to door, until I started seeing it. Two ways of moving through the world. One is the slow and faithful way. Knock, you wait, you move on, you knock again, and so on. The other, a revelation unfolding inside itself, is doors within doors, like mirrors facing mirrors, each reflection birthing the next. And suddenly I knew God was teaching me about growth, about the way we expand. Some doors require persistence, you knock till it opens. Others require preparation. You step through it and ascend. So you have linear growth and quantum growth. AI was also a way to help me to understand this is the opportunity that we have with AI. Sometimes you can develop ideas, especially if your idea is, I won't call it half formed, but it's like kind of like a random thing. You know what it is that you want to say, but you don't quite know how to say. But then you go ahead and say what you know, and then you say what you're trying to say to the AI, and say, this is what I'm trying to say, this is what I'm trying to achieve, this is what I'm trying to talk about, and a lot of people don't know that you can actually have a conversation with AI. So you have that conversation, and it will then help to reflect it back to you. So that's just one of the ways that I use AI. It wrote me the story of how did I find the revelation, how did I discover that it was an explanation of growth, and then the other one was kind of like explaining the two types of doors, the ones you knock on and the ones you walk through. And some doors teach you persistence, they build muscles in your faith, courage in your waiting. That's the door journey. Go steady, faithful, knocking, learning, growing. That's definitely what I was doing in 2025. But then there are doors that open into other doors within doors, realms within realms, levels hidden in obedience. You step through one and another appears. You say yes once and heaven multiplies your yes. That is quantum growth. That's revelation upon revelation. Teaching a workshop, my first workshop at that time, taught me so much. Even the preparation to do that, even the shedding of all other things, where you become kind of like one track minded to say, this is who I want to serve. This is how I want to serve them. These are the results I know I can get for them. This is my lane. And then being able to stake your claim and say, this is my lane, and then keep going. So that was one door. Passing through that door is now leading me to other doors. Okay, so again, it's giving me the opportunity. Do you want it to be on stage? Do you want to be it on camera? Do you want it to be so it goes on and on. So long and short, that is my door-to-door story. It's helping to create a framework, door-to-door framework for growth, talking about discipline, faithfulness, practice, learning, and so on. It talks about seeds of mastery. It's talking about persistence, talk about spiritual principles. Whoever can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. Talks about application to your finances, in this case. Another thing, let me say this last thing before I stop, because I'm telling you this and I'm hoping that you're getting something from it. At the same time, I'm kind of giving you like a glimpse of what it's like to work with AI, but still be human. It's not a robot. It cannot do anything. AI cannot do anything on its own without your input. So it's your input. So, but what the last thing I wanted to mention was that when you have an account in something like ChatGPT or Claude or one of them, as time goes on, you are feeding it in a lot of information about you. So as time goes on, it begins to know what your interests are. It begins to know what you're working on. You might be using it you might open a project inside that is within the AI platform, and that in that project you are going to maybe work on what's the framework. This is what what are the titles, help me to outline this, help me to do, and we are talking about all about that thing. So then you can come back another day and say, knowing what you know about me, here I have this idea. What do you think about it? Or knowing what you know about what I'm working towards, I would like to create this and I want it to be about that for this, and that kind of thing. So the last point I'm making is, and I'm just looking at something here which has to do with me because it knows, some of the things that are important to me. So the application of this door-to-door revelation framework, whatever you want to call it, it's applied it to different areas. So it's applied it to my podcast, this podcast, for instance, and it says release episodes weekly. So knock, show up. Don't stop because the numbers are low. Every episode is a door. Open slowly, and which is so interesting because, like I said, this podcast episode came about, or this YouTube YouTube video came about because I actually showed up to have a podcast with my guest. Hopefully you get to meet her in a week or two, but just 15 minutes to the episode, discovered she had a toothache and she had to cancel. And we had something really great in store for you. But seeing as I'm here, I'm ready, I'm sat down. So I thought, okay, since I need to remain faithful to this podcasting, release my podcast still show up, don't stop even when things go wrong. Every episode is a door. Some doors open slowly. We talked about my health, which is also one of the things that are on my radar. So daily movement, healthy meals, one walk, workouts, milk again tomorrow, talk about habits for a nation. And then it's even talked about my consultancy. He said, reach out to charities, share your message, follow up, refine your process, one conversation at a time, one door at a time. So we're now going into the revelation I've given it, and then it's giving me some applications as well to say you can apply this to your finances, you train yourself so that you become more resilient, so that you every time you get a no, that redirects your focus, keep your focus, and just keep going, etc., etc. So this is the beauty of AI. AI is a wonderful opportunity. It does not take away our humanness. There is a way that we can still use AI to make our work go, to speed up our work, to get more clarity, to make your work more effective. AI can never replace the human creativity and human ideas. Well, I don't think so. That is, well, hardly debatable, but there always has to be human inputs to for AI to do its razzmatazz, magic or whatever it is you want to call it. So I think this is the end or rounding up. So thank you for listening to me rant. I wish I could be with you and, have a two-way conversation. But if there's anything about this conversation that resonated with you, please do leave a comment in the comment section and I will surely reach out to you or respond to you. Thank you for listening to my voice. And for now, I wish you a good night and God bless.